It's time for the rematch with Syracuse. Hey, let's not nearly blow a massive lead this time, shall we?
This is David Noel, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Friday, February 20th, 2026. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network out there. Thanks for making us your first listener watch to get your Friday and your weekend kicked off the right way. Special shout out to all our everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course, our insiders as well. This episode's brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back, no fork needed. Vanilla-y cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order right now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Coming up on the show today, Carolina squaring off with Syracuse yet again, this time heading up to New York. So we'll start with our Four Corners preview. I've even got a little bonus one for you. We'll have a couple words on Carolina's offense. They haven't done something this year that hasn't happened in like half a decade or so. That doesn't make much sense. I'll explain it. We'll check on how Syracuse has been doing since Carolina played them several weeks ago. We'll talk about the mock bracketing exercise that happened yesterday. What kind of seed did Carolina get? We'll get to that. Weekend whip around, going to be great stuff. Also came out on Thursday that Mac Brown is going to be at the Louisville game on Monday. So that will be really neat to check in on that. All right. Let's get into talking about Syracuse. Obviously, this is the second meeting with the Orange. Last one was a blowout. Absolute blowout until it wasn't, because Carolina just kind of stopped. Tar Heels were up 32 points, and it ended up being a 10-point margin. They won, but it didn't feel good. And part of the issue is that was with two guys that will not be playing the basketball game tomorrow. And now the Heels are in a position where they desperately need wins because of these injuries, because of the Miami loss, because of the NC State loss, because of the California losses, etc. And not knowing when Caleb's going to be back, when Henri's going to be back, they've got to get these wins to keep the ship afloat going down the stretch. Got to fight like crazy, fight like the Dickens, they say, to get more wins, to keep that resume alive. And so what needs to happen to do that? To build a similar lead and hold on to it this time around? Well, maybe our Four Corners preview can help with that. Number one, we're going to assume that tomorrow there will be no Caleb Wilson and there will be no Henri Veesaar. And with that in mind, the manufactured front court of Jarin Stevenson and Zayden have to continue to perform. And it's weird to think about putting all this pressure on those guys, but they've done well in each of their first two games filling in. But they're going to have to take that pressure because they're going to have to deliver yet again. In the first meeting against Syracuse, the combination of Caleb Wilson's 22 points and Henri Veesaar's 17 points, he scored a combined 39 points. How many did the combination of Jarin and Zayden score in the first matchup? 7, all of which went to Jarin Stevenson. They're going to have a much bigger number than that tomorrow. Now, I don't know that they got to get to 39 again, as Caleb and Henri did, but, could they get to 25 or 30 combined? I would take that. And I get that maybe it feels unfair for me to put pressure on these guys to perform, but they've got to. There is no other option. They got to step up to the plate and do it. And especially as you think, like a big part of the talk around Carolina on Thursday was that from Andrew Jones of Tar Heel 247 was that he was hearing from sources inside the program that Veesaar's injury could be multiple weeks, up to like a month or something before he's back. I joked yesterday on the show, Caleb might be back before Henri. Well, now it seems like it might be a reality. Oh boy. So that said, again, these guys have got to be locked in, meaning Jarin Stevenson and Zayden. They've got to keep doing it. But number 2 in the Four Corners preview, boy, do they need some help from the backcourt and specifically the starting guards. Carolina's last 3 games, I want to look specifically at the 2 road games because that's what this is going to be. So at Miami, at NC State. In terms of just strictly shooting, it's not been good for Derek and Seth in those 2 road games. At Miami, Seth Trimble, Derek Dixon combined to shoot 1 of 14 from the floor and 0 of 9 from 3. At State on Tuesday, the 2 of them combined to shoot 3 of 21 from the floor and 1 of 12 from 3. All told, combined in those 2 most recent road games, the starting point guard and shooting guard, Derek Dixon, Seth Trimble, have gone a combined 4 for 35. That is 11.4% from the field, and 1 of 21 from 3, which is 4.8%. You're not going to win basketball games if that's what you're getting out of your starting backcourt. And I love both of those dudes, but it's just the fact of the matter is there has to be more scoring production from both Derek and Seth. We've said it. Something seems to be pretty badly off with Derek's shot. It has looked bad. He got that one lucky banked in 3 against Pitt, but he had a couple real clunkers against NC State. And so, man, it's just, it's got to be a head thing. Got to be a head thing. Derek Dixon's got to get out of that. And in terms of Carolina's backcourt in the first game against Syracuse, Dixon had 8, Seth had 9, Kyan Evans had 0. Expanding to the wings, Luka had 10 the first time around. Jonathan Powell had 12. Would definitely take some more of that, right? Like if you just, the backcourt has to give more. There is no other way around it. And so you look at that and it's like, okay, Luka Bogavac, remember, started really well in the Pitt game. I'd like to see that kind of thing again. I think this could be a big Luka game and we need to watch out for it. All right, so front court's got to keep going. Backcourt needs to step up. Four Corners preview point number 3. Syracuse doesn't do much well. I'll say it that way. But one of the things that they are very strong at is blocking shots. They are second in the nation in block shots per game at 6.3. Block percentage-wise, they're 5th at 16.1%. That is an insane number for Syracuse. To that point, in the first game against Carolina, they had 8 blocks. So what does that mean for Carolina? Well, they've got to find ways to counter that. One of the best things you can do against a shot blocker is get into his chest so that he can't extend his arms and end stuff. You've got to be wary of secondary blockers coming over. Got to be ready and alert for those passes. Listen to guys. So in terms of getting into the chest, if I'm Seth Trimble, I am attacking not only the rim, but I'm attacking Nate Kings and all of these guys. I'm getting into them as much as I can. That's the goal there. I want to make them feel uncomfortable. Like Donnie Freeman, I want him to feel uncomfortable. William Kyle, I don't want him to be able to block all these shots. So Carolina has to be able to get straight into their chests, not let them get their arms extended, and that way they maybe rake down on you and foul you. So all the shot blocking, but Carolina's got to find some ways around it. Number 4 in the Four Corners preview. We need road warriors, baby. Road warriors in this game. The Tar Heels right now are 3-5 on the road with wins at Rupp against Kentucky, at Virginia, and at Georgia Tech. And that's 2 of those 3 are really impressive, and Georgia Tech as well, because that's a place, Atlanta, where Carolina's had some bugaboos. But they've lost 5 games on the road, including each of their last 2 road opportunities. And again, while you feel like, oh man, we essentially crushed Syracuse first time. Well, sure you did, but now you got different personnel playing in this basketball game. The good news for Carolina, the Dome has not been necessarily a hive of perfection. Maybe I'll say a haven for Syracuse. They've lost 4 times there this season already. Carolina undefeated at home. Seth Trimble, I think, is a big factor in this thing, getting the guys' minds right on the road, helping them know how to handle the fans and everything that'll be going on there. This is a 1 p.m. Saturday tip, so you got to be ready. All right, I told you I'd have a bonus Four Corners preview. Here it is. Oddity, statistical oddity. There are 365 teams in all of Division I. Syracuse is 365th in free throw percentage as a team. That's right. The Syracuse Orange are dead last in America in free throw percentage. You thought the Tar Heels were bad? Woof. So don't let them get going. But, if you foul them a time or two, and Carolina doesn't foul much, but maybe this is a game where it's like a guy gets by you, gets a step, maybe you want to foul him. Don't let him get those the easy bucket, make him get it what should be easy, but apparently for Syracuse is very difficult. Wow, crazy stuff. Now, it's not been that long since Carolina played Syracuse the first time, back on February 2nd. But what have the Orange been up to since then? I'll get you up to speed on that. And I've got an interesting tidbit I want to give you about Carolina's offensive output this year. We'll get to all of that and more in just a second. Right after I tell you about 5-Hour Energy. Hey, welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which might just be some sleepers you want to try out as well. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to be able to take home that top spot. Something I love, just even thinking about all 5-Hour Energy drinks, is that there are shots that give you that boost, but they do it with zero sugar, and that's what I'm looking for. All right, drum roll. The number one top flavor draft pick for me, Isaac Schade, strawberry banana. Man, it is so good. I love strawberries. I love bananas. It's always been one of my favorite like smoothie combinations or yogurt or whatever it is. And so when I realized 5-Hour Energy has it, I'm like, this is great. I love the sweet strawberry taste you get on the front end. You get some banana flavor on the back end. It's great. Just gentle taste, like it goes down smooth. You know what I'm saying? Like so good. Strawberry banana, winner, no brainer. But I want to tell you about my underrated sleeper pick as well, and that's peach mango. I'm a Georgia boy. I love peaches. Mango, though, it gives me that tropical vibe. I love the combination of the two. They go so well together. It's a great pair. Don't sleep on peach mango. So go ahead on over. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com, or you can check them out at Amazon. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Hey, have you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? Well, FanDuel is now giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. You use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll be automatically entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole package, everything, the experience included. If you're already looking at the board and trying to think about what futures you might go after, like what team can make a deep run, who's going to win a conference championship, whatever, man, this is the time to lock it in. I love it because it all adds an extra layer of excitement to all of the games down the stretch of the regular season. Plus, not only can your pick cash, but now you have a shot at winning an NBA Finals trip courtesy of FanDuel. We got the top four teams in the nation are playing each other tomorrow, Saturday. Number 1, Michigan. Number 3, Duke in Washington, D.C. FanDuel has it Michigan -2.5. Number 2, Houston. Number 4, Arizona. FanDuel has it Cougars of Houston -4.5. Check out that action and anything else. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen or watch of the day, and making the Locked On Network the #1 sports podcast network. And if you're a true diehard Tar Heels fan, man, you need to check out the Everydayer Club we got going on. The all-access tier is built for you. You get one-on-one text access with me, all-access episodes, exclusive newsletter, and more. Check it out. That link is in the show notes. All right, an interesting thing, I had actually caught this the other day and hadn't done the research on it, but I was intrigued. And then I got a note from Will Hager, and Will asked me this. Isaac, random question for you. Will asked me this on our insiders. By the way, check out the Everydayers Club, become an insider. Random question for you, but when was the last time that UNC didn't score 100 points in a single game all season? And what was the team's record postseason finish in that season? Well, it's not so great, Will. Carolina, and the reason Will's asking this is because the Tar Heels have not scored 100 points yet this year. Isn't that weird? It feels like the offense is more explosive than that. The last time that happened previous to this year was 2020, the year that mercifully ended with COVID. And I say not because COVID's good, but because Carolina was going to miss the tournament, but there was no tournament. But that year, Carolina didn't breach 100 points. So to your question, Will, to answer it, the Tar Heels were 14-19 that year and 6-14 overall. If you want to find out the one that happened before that, you got to go all the way back 17 seasons earlier to the 02-03 season. This is not 8-20. This is the year after 8-20. Carolina did not score 100 points, but this was another ungreat year. They were 19-16 overall, 6-10 in ACC play. So, Will, it's a great question. And neither of those years did things go very successfully, either in the regular or postseason action. So I answer that way because it's like, oh no, that seems to bode poor things for this season. And so I'm not excited about that. But it's odd that Carolina hasn't scored 100. They did get 99, right? So they're right there. But if history repeats, Heels are in a world of trouble. All right. Carolina at Syracuse tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. It's on ABC. We don't have a FanDuel line yet, but at Ken Palm, Tar Heels are favored by 3. At Torvik, they're favored by 2. A reminder, Carolina won the first meeting 87-77. You're like, oh, that's a nice, comfortable ACC margin. Well, remember, the Tar Heels led by 32 with under 10 minutes to go in this basketball game, and they let Syracuse fight all the way back and had to hold on down the stretch. It was so annoying. They won. I'd like to see Carolina do that again, except the final 9 minutes, hold on to a massive lead. Now, I get it. The ceiling is not as high without Caleb or Henri, but maybe you could get a 15-point lead or a 20-point lead. Heck, I would take any point lead right now. I just want to win a basketball game. Currently, Syracuse is 12th in the ACC. In the net, they're 72nd. So this is a quad 1 game, barely. Once you get to 76 on the road, it turns into quad 2. So maybe I don't want to beat Syracuse too badly. I want to beat them. But I don't want to drop. It's like the net, whatever. Ken Palm, Torvik, they're very similar to that 72nd in the net, 73 at Ken Palm, 68 at Torvik. So right there. Results this far overall, they're 15-12, 6-8 in ACC play. They've played 4 games since they came down to Chapel Hill. They lost at Virginia, 59. I forget the second. They lost at Virginia. Then they beat Cal at home in overtime. And then they beat SMU at home, 79-78. So just barely right there. And then they lost at Duke earlier this week, 101-64. Yuck. That's gross. So Carolina has a big opportunity here to go snag a 4th road win of the season, a 3rd ACC road win. I mean, and if you don't get this win, part of the problem is you've got 4 remaining games, and 3 of those are hosting Louisville, which is Monday, hosting Clemson, and going to Duke. And so, again, you have to get this win, Tar Heels. Absolutely have to. As for my game prediction, I'm going to go with Carolina 74-70. I think it's going to be a close game, a little bit lower scoring than these teams average. But Carolina comes out on top in a squeaker. I'll take that, right? All right. So that's the game. On Thursday, a bunch of media was invited to NCAA headquarters to do a mock bracket where the media represented a bunch of the different actual selection committee. They put together an actual bracket using all the official principles and stuff. And so Carolina safely in that field, but where do they land? I'm going to tell you about it in just a second. Plus the weekend whip around will get you ready for that. Coming up in just a moment.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It was a heavyweight showdown between number 3 South Carolina and number 7 LSU, and the Gamecocks rose to the occasion. South Carolina secured a hard-fought 79-72 victory to stay atop the SEC standings, using a balanced offensive attack to outlast the Tigers. Tessa Johnson led the way with 21 points, while Raven Johnson added 19. Medina Okot dominated the paint with a double-double, finishing with 12 points and 17 rebounds, while Joyce Edwards chipped in 10 points to round out the scoring. With the statement win, the Gamecocks now turn their attention to a road matchup at number 23 Alabama on Thursday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
On Thursday, the NCAA held a mock selection event, and they used media to act as the selection committee. In fact, they were given specific people's names to be able to be. And what I love about this is it wasn't just some like willy-nilly thrown together thing. They're like, I think, Arizona or whatever. They actually went through the actual process of the principles, the procedures that the selection committee uses so that they could get an idea of how to do it. Of how they do it, behind the scenes look, all of that kind of stuff. So it was a very accurate, not perfect representation of where things are at if the tournament started today. They didn't go through everything fully, but they did a lot of it. And so let me report where Carolina landed in that is a 6 seed. Had they done this a week and a half ago between Duke and Miami, Carolina is a 4 seed probably. You know what I mean? But they've floated a little bit since then, and that's that. So what the good news about it is that Carolina's safely, nothing like last year. However, again, why I reiterate, you cannot just start dropping every game down the stretch here. Carolina is going to have to steal a couple wins in these final 5 games. Matt Norlander notes that the NCAA Matt Norlander, by the way, is from CBS Sports. He notes that the NCAA autofilled the overall seed list from 21 to 68, meaning, yes, Carolina does come in as a 6 seed right now, but don't bother looking at like the matchups from the bracket or anything like that. They slotted in the top 20 seeds, and then everything else was just kind of auto-populated. Like they were given their actual seed, but then it was all auto-populated. Also of note, and this is important, Norlander said that they decided to treat Carolina as though Caleb Wilson would be healthy for their exercise, meaning by the time the NCAA tournament rolls around. Interesting. Didn't say anything about Veesaar, but I think that's important to know as well. They were considering Carolina a 6 seed with Caleb Wilson. If he's not back and healthy, that might mean some different things. So what they did was an actual seeding, an S curve of teams all the way 1 through 20. So that's basically all the 1 through 5 seeds. And I could go through the whole thing, but I don't want to waste time on that. But what I do want to say is the good news from that top 20 is Carolina has played 4 of them, and they're 3-1 in those games. That's encouraging. But the bad news, Carolina is not one of those 20 teams, right? And so it's great to have a good record against them, but you want to be in that grouping, the top 20. So Carolina has to keep working and has to hope that these 2 guys get back healthy. Also, looking at ACC teams, remember last year, the ACC got in just 4 teams, and it was nearly only 3 if Carolina hadn't slid in, skated in, whatever you want to say. In this exercise, the ACC had 8 different teams: Duke, Virginia, Louisville, Carolina, Clemson, State, SMU, and Miami. So that's encouraging to see that it seems like the ACC is going to kind of essentially double at least what they did last year in the NCAA tournament. So I just thought that was instructive and helpful to understand a little bit more about where Carolina is right now. Tomorrow, Saturday, the actual selection committee will reveal what their top 16 teams are, their 4 seeds right now. Again, it's just a snapshot in time with Selection Sunday still several weeks away. So there you go. Carolina, a 6 seed as of right now, probably. Let's get to the weekend whip around. We're going to start with women's basketball. They were in action yesterday on Thursday, had to go up to Blacksburg, but they got it done barely in overtime, 66-63. They moved their record to 22-6 overall, 11-4 in ACC play. They've won 9 out of their last 10. So this is a big time road win. Virginia Tech's not ranked right now, but they're a good team coming into the game. The 2 teams were separated by a half game in the ACC standings. So nice to get a little bit of separation there. Still no Renaya Kelly in this game. That's unfortunate, but Carolina learned how to win without her, and that's good. Men need to do the same with Caleb, right? The problem in this game, Carolina trailed 18-14 after the first quarter. They trailed the entire second quarter, only scoring 7 points, by the way. It was 28-21 at the half. Woof. They trailed the entire third quarter, although they did get it down to 2 points. They eventually took a lead with just under 4 to go on a Laney Grant and one. And at that point, they hadn't led since the first quarter. They end up having the lead, but it gets tied back up, and they go to overtime and win. In fact, they scored more points in the 5 minutes of overtime than they did in the 10 minutes of the second quarter. Crazy stuff there. So the ladies are in action again Sunday, back at home, hosting Pitt. That'll be at noon on ACC Network. Would be great to get another dub. Women's tennis. Some new rankings came out this week, by the way. The women are 10-1 overall. As a team, they are third in the nation. You've got 6 different players ranked in the top 100. Reese Brantmeyer's first in the nation, if you weren't aware of that. Anjay Kajuru is 6th overall. Tatum Evans, 17. Alanis Hamilton, 58. Anna Frey, 70. And Thea Radman is 100th. 3 doubles teams ranked. Reese Brantmeyer and Hamilton, they are 5th. And then Kajuru and Susanna Maltby are 6th. So you've got 2 of the top 6 doubles teams in the nation. That's crazy. And then Mary Grace Renard and Alana Boyce are ranked 53rd. Great stuff. Coming up this weekend, Carolina starts ACC play, the women do. They've already played Virginia and State, but neither of those counted. They were like non-con games with some of that weird stuff. But Carolina hosts Syracuse today at 3 p.m., and then they host Boston College on Sunday at 1 p.m. So great opportunity to get those first actual ACC victories. Let's make it happen. The men are at Illinois this weekend. That's Sunday at noon. They're 7-2 overall, not ranked right now. Baseball, one of my favorite things that they do, I think it's every year now. They're 5-0 right now. They're 10th in the nation. Tuesday, they beat Richmond. Wednesday, they beat Longwood. That was a little bit closer game. But this weekend, they've got their annual series with East Carolina, ECU. And the way this works, today, Friday, 5 p.m. ESPN Plus, they'll play at ECU in Greenville. Tomorrow, Saturday, they'll play at 2 p.m. in Durham at the DBAP. And then Sunday, they'll be back at the Bosch to play at 1. That game will be on ACC Network Extra. So, man, I love this series. The 2 home sites with the neutral site in between. So fun. But let's go get another series win. Would be a great way to start the season. Softball, 11-0. They've got a whole host of games this weekend. They beat NC Central twice yesterday, 13-0 and 10-0. Today they play Rider at 3 and App State at 5:30. Both of those are at home. Saturday, tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. They play Princeton, and then Sunday at 3 playing Rider. So just games after games after games. Go check some of these out. Softball off to an undefeated start. Wrestling tonight, 7 p.m. is hosting Stanford. The Carolina men are ranked 12th in the nation. A little bit, a back and forth in ACC play, but 9-4 overall, 2-3 in the conference. Lacrosse is in action this weekend. Today, the men, who are 3-0, ranked 3rd in the nation, host Johns Hopkins. That's at 5 p.m. on ACC Network. The women are 2-0 overall, 1-0 in ACC play. They are number 1 in the nation. They host Ohio State today at 1:30, and they host Louisville Sunday at noon. So another ACC matchup coming on Sunday. Gymnastics is at number 17 Cal tonight, 10:30 Eastern time. That one could be tough. I'm just telling you right now. Swimming and diving is wrapping up the ACC championships down in Atlanta this weekend. Fencing has their ACC championships, but just over in Durham. That's tomorrow and Sunday. Track and field has the Alex Wilson Invitational up at Notre Dame and the ASICS Last Chance Invite over in Winston-Salem. So there you go. Whole bunch of stuff going on in Carolina athletics this weekend. You absolutely love it. Tomorrow, we will be live after the game, hopefully talking about a Carolina victory party, not a therapy session. We need it. If you haven't subscribed to the show on video and audio, do it now so you don't miss a second of Locked On Tar Heels. If you haven't subscribed to the Everydayers Club and our Locked On Tar Heels Discord, those links are both in the show notes. We'd love to see you there. As for now, always a great day to be a Tar Heel. Can't wait to talk to you tomorrow live on YouTube after the game, but until then, peace.